and welcome along to the latest Monday bulletin from here at TII. My name's Craig Dennett and I'm joined by two podcasters, one experienced and one who is brand new to the channel. He's part of a new group of podders we've welcomed to the channel over the last couple of weeks. So first of all, the experienced one, Kieran, how are you doing?
I'm doing all right, I'm doing good, happy to be here.
Excellent. You managed to avoid the sunburn yesterday, which is more than can be said for me. Stephen, how are you doing? Welcome to TII and your first podcast.
Thanks very much. Buzzing to be here. Buzzing to get started. Cannot wait.
Excellent. So we've got some decent news, I think, to cover today. We've had a couple of Mondays where it's been a bit slow, where we've been digging to the bottom of the barrel to try and find some news. So finally, we've got some decent transfer rumours. We've even got I'm going to call it a scandal. I don't think it's a scandal, but it's kind of, is he here or is he not here kind of thing on Twitter around Angelo Fulgini. We'll speak about Malik Tillman from Bayern Munich, who is rumoured to potentially be coming to Ibrox. We'll speak about Namdi Ofoborh, who Giovanni van Bronckhorst was speaking about today. We'll also speak about Paul Heckingbottom's comments, the fact that Rangers blew other teams out the water when it came to Tom Lawrence and making sure that we secured his signature. And then finally, the competitive football is almost back. We're 1 week away from the Champions League qualifying draw. So we'll have a wee chat over our potential opponents and what that could potentially look like as well. Kieran, going to come to you first of all. Angelo Fulgini, we woke up this morning, it looked like he was off to Mainz, €7 million fee agreed. I think the German newspaper Bild was reporting it, and by all accounts they don't really report on transfer rumours, they just report once it's done. So it looked like he was on his way there, and then all of a sudden about lunchtime today, a random photo, a random video, 30-second video appeared on Twitter, which many people putting two and two together. They might be making four, they might be making five, but it appears that he is potentially, or his lookalike is potentially in Glasgow just now. What have your thoughts been as the day have been going on around this one? Ross, one of the other contributors, he's been flip-flopping all day on it. He's been wanting to slate Fulgini for not coming. He's been wanting to welcome him with open arms, and I'm not quite sure where he is just now. So Kieran, where are you on it at the moment?
I'll just be upfront honest, it was actually myself, the taxi situation. I've been really struggling, so Ross Wilson was the first port of call, so nice of him to give me a lift home. Nah, to be honest, it's nice when people go crazy like that for transfers. I think a couple of weeks ago we were absolutely starved of anything to do with any incomings, any wild rumours, just absolutely anything. So see, even if it's not true, it's been some laugh, but if it is true, then I'm extremely excited. I'd be lying if I said I knew a lot about him, apart from the obligatory YouTube videos where he looks a really exciting and creative player, and something which would go a long way to replacing Aribo. Who's going to be a miss, don't get me wrong, but we need someone that can fill the boots. When we spoke a few weeks ago, I spoke about how we need to make like significant signings in terms of like push the boat out a wee bit so that we're not sleeping at the wheel when it comes to the Champions League qualification the same way we were cold last year. So signing someone like him, I think, would go a long way to make a real statement from the board. Yeah,
absolutely. Stephen, looking at Fulgini, obviously the vast majority of us will only have heard of him for the first time last Friday. We've probably heard about him non-stop since. Is he someone that excites you? Should he sign for us, or is he someone you're not quite sure about?
I think a bit of both. I think kind of similar to what Kieran was saying. It's like as soon as you see kind of names like that being brought up, first thing you do, YouTube, get it out and see what the boy's all about. And also, it's always just going to show you his best bits anyway, so you can't always get like a fair kind of reflection on what he's like. But like the kind of reports that are coming out, different kind of people on Twitter, like analysts, and they're talking about him all saying good things. It's just the fee, maybe. I mean, talks about 7 million, he said. It's a lot of money for us, for a 25-year-old turning 26 as well. But if he's the player that's going to come in, he's going to score goals, because I think that's what we lacked a little bit last season, was goals from midfield, consistent goals. I think Aribo finished the season with 9. So, I mean, it's still good, the good figure, but I think we could get more from that, especially Aribo playing over 50 games. So, Yeah, happy enough that if it's true, obviously we'll never know, because this could just be, it could be anything going on. It could have just been a random guy getting a taxi. Do you know what I mean? But aye, so if it goes through, if we manage to get that deal over the line, then I'll be happy about it.
Yeah, Kieran, Stephen touched a bit on the fee there, €7 million. It's obviously a significant outlay. I think it would be the most since Ryan Kent that we've spent. Obviously, we spent a significant amount of money on Kamar Roof, but it wasn't to that level. I think if we sign someone for that amount of money, it needs to almost be a guaranteed success, doesn't it?
Yeah, like I say, statement of intent. When you look to how well we've done this season and how it's paved the path for next year, we're guaranteed qualification for the Europa League. So you're talking in the region between 12 to 15 million guaranteed. So why not just go and get a £5 million player, maybe two? I know I'm asking for a lot there, and that doesn't really fit the model in terms of what Stephen says of him coming into his 26th year, but why not though? If it gets you qualification for the Champions League and we hit the ground running, then you tend not to look at the fee. I know he touched on Ryan Kent there, but nobody talks about the fee. I think has he come out his 4th year at Rangers, possibly 5th. Like he's been outstanding and worth every penny. And when you break it down to games that he's played and how significant he's been on the pitch, then we don't tend to talk about the fees. So he's got to be the real deal for that type of money.
Yeah, Stephen, just touching on, you mentioned his age, obviously 25 going on 26. That's a bit different to the profile of player we've been looking at in previous years, and obviously this year as well. We've tended to go for the younger prospect side of things, whether it be 19, 20, 21-year-old come from the under 23 teams in England, or potentially from further afield, places like Croatia. Or earlier on this summer, we've kind of gone for the more experienced kind of player, guys like Colak and Lawrence, who are like 28, 29. They're at the tail end of their peak almost, or they're right in the middle of their peak. Signing a player for that amount of money at 25, 26, that's really exciting. And is that something that you would want us to see do more of, and think that will have a bigger impact on the team as well?
I think both, exactly what you touched on there, especially this summer, the Lawrence signing, the Colak signing, guys that are in their late 20s. These guys don't have time to come in, and these guys have to come in and hit the ground running straight away. We need goals, we need assists, we need everything, because they're forward players, they're forward thinking players. I think that's maybe the not a problem, because I think it's a good that player trade model, buying in cheap, selling high. It works, and it's what we should still be, because you can get some cracking signings. We look at Bassey and the leaps and bounds he's came on last season. I mean, we're talking about 20 plus million at the minute for a guy like that. But at the same time, there's no harm in going for guys like a Lawrence for free or Colak for 1.8 million. Guys that should, hopefully, at the age and the stage of that of their career, should come in straight away. Experienced professionals, and should hit the ground running straight away. Because especially, I think Kieran's touching as well, the Champions League qualifiers are just round the corner. There's no time for guys to be taking time to settle. We need guys and into the team to be fit and firing straight away. It's so important this year as well, getting that Champions League football.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we desperately need a player that comes in late into the box and has those shots from the edge of the box. The player that kind of springs to my mind straight away is Thomas Buffel for some reason, just someone that goes in at the edge of the box and can find the back of the net. Another kind of forward-thinking player that we've been linked with, and I guess kind of drops into that player development model, is Malik Tillman, who is a 20-year-old Bayern Munich 2 attacking midfielder. He's played 4 games for Bayern Munich's first team in total, which is an amazing achievement in itself. He's made 2 caps for the USA. He's said to be open to a move to Scotland and to Rangers, with the prospect of more first team football, first team action. Kieran, is that a signing you would like to see? I assume you're like many of us, and we've just found out about him this morning.
Yeah, I totally agree with you there, and I've got to be honest, I did only find out about him this morning. But we touched on there about the signings of Tom Lawrence and Colak, and I had the conversation last week of like, yeah, okay, brilliant signings, they look great on paper, but they don't really fit that model of where's the next Bassey coming from, where's the next Aribo coming from, where's the next Patterson where we can bring them in, not in Patterson's case obviously, but for quite cheap and then sell them on for dear. But sometimes you forget that not every player has to fit that bill, in terms of players like Lundstrom, who have come in and been an absolute revelation at Rangers. In terms of Malik Tillman, like you touched on there, he's 2 caps for the US men's national team. I think he was capped all the way up through youth level for Germany and then decided to turn out for his dad's nationality, which he's from the USA, if I'm right in saying that. So they were only last month, and you've got to be thinking the World Cup's coming up in December. US men's national team have got a golden age right now. They could be a dark horse for the tournament, but if this boy kicks on and does well, and this is me talking as if I've signed him, if he comes in and he does well, he's got a real chance to go there and make an impression, and it only bodes well for us. So it ticks all the boxes in terms of the player trading model.
Yeah, absolutely. We've got a comment from Stephen Nisbet, just speaking about Malik Tillman. He says he thinks he's a player we really need to go out our way to go and get. He's seen some of his stats, seen a few YouTube videos today. I assume Stephen's been doing the same as all of us. And he says he'll be going to the World Cup with the US as well, which will obviously have an impact on his transfer value going forward as well, which can't be a bad thing. Stephen, a player like that, 20 years old, real prospect, is there a danger that one of our own youngsters, we hear it all the time that Rangers don't develop our own players, we don't give our players enough opportunities in the team? Is there a chance that if we sign someone like that, obviously a year or two older than Alex Lowry, that it stops players like Lowry coming through or getting the level of game time that they need?
I think so. I think Lowry's obviously the obvious one there, as you said. Like, he's at that age now. He's 19, Lowry, I think. So yeah. He's not a well, I know he's a kid, but he's not a proper kid. They're saying like 16s. He should be getting game time. And yes, I mean, I think Lowry will be getting a lot more game time this year anyway. Off the left, I liked him that game against Hearts, Lowry. Obviously, as a number 10, I think it's his kind of favoured position. But no, I think if he's good enough, he'll play. I think you've seen solely at the end of last season with the depth of the squad, we were lacking that depth, you know, and the fact that we needed to play Aribo up front and whatnot. So we need signings and we need a wee bit of freshen up, I think, still in the team. And this boy, by all accounts, he can play as a centre mid, he can play as an 8, as a 10 or a striker, so a number 9. So he's got that flexibility. He can play in a variety of positions. So I do agree though. I think bringing in too many players and having that squad, that too big a squad, might not be the best thing for kind of the youngsters coming through. They might be looking at that pathway to the first team thinking, where's my chance going to come here? But if the boy's talented, and he's got to be talented if he's playing already for the Bayern Munich first team, as you said, and he's played cap twice for the US national team, don't see why not bringing him in. Why not? He's obviously a good player, so I'm all for it.
Yeah, Kieran, just one sort of final point on this one. Alex Lowry is obviously started to make his way in the squad, and he's obviously rated by Gio and the rest of the management team. Is there a danger that, and I actually think, to be fair, that as fans we are big admirers of Alex Lowry and big supporters of him, but is there a danger that we see a new signing or a potential new signing like Malik Tillman and it's like our attention's just like, oh, shiny thing over there, and we don't actually think about the whole process of what a youth player at Rangers needs to actually come through and the opportunities that they need? Yeah,
absolutely. And I think it's something we've become used to through the years, where maybe it's tending to be that we've not brought enough youth through. And in terms of Alex Lowry, I don't think I've seen him have a bad game when he's got his opportunity. And a team like Rangers, where opportunities are few and far between for the youth, if we're really honest here, I know we focus a lot on it, but it's more important that we win trophies and bring in players that are going to win games than it is to promote youth at our club. And that's just the long and short of it. So any opportunity Alex Lowry's had, he's taken, and there's no reason why he can't come in and do that next year. I think he's got to be setting himself a goal of 20 plus appearances. He's certainly got it in the locker to come in and impress, and especially against some of the lesser teams at Ibrox at home, when you tend to find the younger guys impress. It's not until you go to away grounds like Tynecastle, Tannadice, Easter Road, where it's a wee bit tougher and the pressure's on a wee bit more just to go there and get the result. So fingers crossed for Alex Lowry. No player I'd like to see break through and really make an impression this season than him.
Yeah, one other player, I guess, that hasn't had his opportunity at Rangers, and through no fault of his own, really, is Namdi Ofoborh. Obviously joined us 18 months ago now, and he's still not managed to kick a ball for Rangers, sadly, due to some issues that were flagged in an EKG with his heart. Giovanni Van Bronckhorst was speaking about him today, saying that his future remains unclear. Gio admitted that he feels really bad for the player because his career's kind of on hold at this moment in time, and he's kind of waiting for the results of treatment and that side of things as well. Ofoborh's 22 years old. We signed him on a 4-year deal. It's kind of a tough situation for Rangers, I think, as well, because we don't even know what he's like as a player yet, and he's 1.5 years into a deal. It could be an absolute world beater, or it could be absolutely rubbish. We have absolutely no idea. But it's a tough situation for the player, and fully understand that health comes first. Stephen, coming to you first, do you think we'll see Ofoborh in a Rangers jersey at any point?
It's so tough to say. I just don't know. It's because you just don't know how you respond. I know Connor Goldson can have the heart issue, and you can see the way he came back, but a year and a half already, or just over a year to be out, and you don't know where that insight is, and then how is he going to respond to that? He's not played football for so long. I've got a feeling we maybe don't see him. If I'm honest, I've got a bad feeling that maybe he won't be maybe playing football ever again. I hope not, but I think that's just my gut feeling is maybe saying he might have to retire or something. But it became a wee bit of promise. I thought maybe kind of similar style to Kamara, just kind of hearing reports when he was playing for Wycombe. Played in that left-hand side of midfield three, could play as a 6, kind of similar style to Kamara, can take kind of press resistant, takes the ball well. So a player I did really want to see, especially when he came under that first, like last year with Gerrard's kind of 4th season. But it's a shame for the boy because I don't know. It's a tough one.
Yeah, Kieran, it must be difficult for Gio and the management team as well. Obviously, Ofoborh's a player that could potentially come back at some point this season, with no real idea of timescale. But when Gio's building a squad and he's looking at what he's got available to him and potential opportunities and that side of things, and we'll still be paying a decent wage for Ofoborh as well. He's came from an English Premier League club in Bournemouth. It must be a difficult one for Gio to kind of manage as well.
Yeah, I think as a club, I'm quite happy we're looking after him, especially his physical health, because it's a lot more important than football at the end of the day that this guy's doing all right. He is our player regardless of if he's played for us or not, and you look especially away from his physical health, his mental health must be taking an absolute beating right now with his career in limbo, not just going to play for Rangers, his career. And I liked when Gio touched on that he's in and about the boys every now and again, pops into training and sees the guys, because it's not like any other injury where he's maybe dealing with a strain or he's dealing with a bit of rehab and he's working with the physios and he is seeing some of the other guys every day. He's basically having, in a football sense, to deal with it on his own. So, and I think there was a few Instagram posts towards the end of last season where he kind of hinted at that it's been very tough mentally for him. So it is, when you've seen like the end of I think it was the end of the Leipzig game last year, and after the Scottish Cup final, and he was on the park and he was in about the squad, he was with the guys, and it's good to see that. It's good to see we're looking after him, and I hope that continues. Like Stephen said, I'd like nothing more to see him playing for Rangers. It'd be lovely to see him coming on at Ibrox and get the standing ovation he deserves, because it's probably been nothing but an absolute terrible time for the guy.
Absolutely, I think that echoes the thoughts of probably most of us at TII and as well in the Rangers support, that it'd be fantastic to see him in a Rangers jersey, and hopefully he'll get some good news soon on the health front, and we will get to see him back in training and get his opportunity. One player that will get his opportunity this year, we've kind of touched on a wee bit already, is Tom Lawrence. We knew that when it was first revealed in the media that we were in for Tom Lawrence, it seemed to be between ourselves and Sheffield United for his signature. Paul Heckingbottom, the former Hibs manager, isn't he? But he's now manager at Sheffield United, and he was asked about Tom Lawrence today and how much Sheffield United as a club would try to sign him and things like that. And one of his quotes was that Rangers blew up all other clubs out the water when it came to to the offer they gave to Tom Lawrence. To some people, that will be music to their ears because we're identifying a player, we're going after a player that we want, and we're not stopping at anything to get him. To other people, it might ring alarm bells that we're potentially paying over the odds for it. Stephen, when you hear that we blew other clubs out the water, that we were competing against for his signature, what side of that fence do you fall down on?
Probably both. I think more on, the stature of Rangers. We are Rangers Football Club. We're one of the biggest clubs in the world. As much as you hear people from down south and you hear the disrespect that you get sometimes of like kind of the league and the standing of the league and everything. But it is Rangers Football Club. The chance to play in front of 50,000 fans and you play European football, and you're comparing that to playing Championship football, with no disrespect for teams like Sheffield United and whoever else was in for them, But in the derby last year, it shouldn't be a comparison. But at the same time, I've heard reports that he was on a good wage down there as well, 30 plus grand maybe for, I don't know. It was a lot anyway. So I'm hoping that he's maybe for footballing reasons, he's decided to maybe take a wage cut, come up here and experience winning trophies, because it's not something he's been used to, apart from I think when he had a wee spell at Derby, pushing for the playoffs and everything. And I know he came through the youth system at Man United. But I'm hoping for footballing reasons he's came up here now and it's kind of maybe taking a wee wage cut. But to play for Rangers, surely that's got to say it all. That says it all. Why wouldn't you want to come up here and everything just stated? Do you know what I mean? Trophies, everything.
Absolutely. Kieran, I think the report I read, that Stephen mentioned, was about 37 grand a week.
Yeah.
When he was reported to be joining Rangers, I don't think he'll be on that amount of money. For us, they might have got a slightly inflated wage because he did come on a free transfer and we didn't have to put that outlay of a transfer fee on it. In terms of those comments from Paul Heckingbottom, what side of the fence do you kind of fall down on?
Really nice of him to speak like that. Sometimes it can be sour grapes when they miss out on a player. I imagine he would have been an excellent player given how well he done last year at Derby, but delighted to sign him. You look at the situation Derby were in last year, it was do or die, where they were fighting for their lives at the bottom of the Championship, and it was win by all means every single game, and that's the same mantra at Rangers, where you're going out there and doesn't matter if you're playing Brecon or Barcelona, you're expected to win every single game with Rangers, and I think he'll fit in very well. Once again, I don't know too much about him, but I have seen him play and I've been impressed when I've watched him. From what you read, what the Derby fans say is that 1 minute he could come up with a spectacular, the next you just don't know what he's going to do. So if he can bring the type of consistency that, I quote him again, John Lundstrom brought here, he'll be looking to him as an example of how well you can do coming from England and up to here and really making an impression. So yeah, looking forward to seeing him. I think in terms of Paul Heckingbottom, it's really nice of him to say such good things about the club, given that he has managed in Scotland before and he really knows the real scale of Rangers and the pool that we've got here.
Yeah, and hopefully it's second half of the season John Lundstrom and not first half of the season John Lundstrom.
Absolutely.
Right, on to the final point of today's pod. We're 1 week away from the Champions League qualifier draw. I think we've known for a while the vast majority of the teams that we can be up against for this third qualifying round. Obviously, if we're going to make the Champions League, we need to get through third qualifying stage and then a playoff round. But if we get knocked out of the third qualifying round, we're straight into the Europa League group stage. So it's good to have that guarantee as a backstop, I think. But we'd all love to hear the Champions League music ringing out at Ibrox on a Tuesday and Wednesday night towards the end of this year. So the four teams that we can get drawn against: Monaco, Sturm Graz, no idea how to say the Belgian team, but Union Saint-Gilloise, I think is how you say it. And then it's Midtjylland or AEK Larnaca, which is still to be decided. I think they're playing over the next couple of nights at some point. Kieran, coming to you first, I think the stature of the teams we're playing is shown, or potentially playing, is shown by Monaco and their sort of signing spree that they've kind of gone on this summer. I think you only have to look at the fact they signed Takumi Minamino from Liverpool for £15.5 million. So I think it's safe to say it's not going to be an easy journey into that playoff round, is it?
No, absolutely not. But if you want to be in the Champions League, you've got to be able to go toe-to-toe with these teams. The likes of last year, it was difficult when we came up against Malmo. I would certainly not like to draw a team that is halfway through their season. They've got that match sharpness and fitness, which we're kind of just coming to the tail end of our pre-season. I always think, and I look back as well, like going back 2012, 2011, teams like Maribor, Malmo, we really struggled when these teams are like 15, 16, 17 games into their season and they've got games under their belt and their players are sharp. Malmo last year, we were second to everything. We really weren't up to speed whatsoever. But in terms of the teams which you mentioned, all good memories against teams like Midtjylland, Sturm Graz, Monaco, our very own Van Bronckhorst with a thunder bastard for 30 yards out. So a wee repeat of that. Apologies if I'm not allowed to say that, but I just slipped it. So a nice repeat of that would be good.
I like to say thunder bastard, absolutely. You're absolutely fine on that one. Stephen, like Kieran said, Midtjylland, we've got fond memories against them in recent years. We've also seen them up against the team on the other side of the city as well. I think they would potentially be the preferred team out of the four.
Yeah, I think what everyone has said, Monaco is the one. If we were picking, Monaco is the one would not like, as you said, 15 million for Minamino, and I'm sure they'll spend more. They've always got the money, Monaco, don't they? But as Kieran said, if we have aspirations to play in the Champions League, any team that should come up against us, we should be beaten and we should be confident, especially the run we went in last year in the Europa League. It's just, how do we respond coming out of pre-season is a big thing for me. It's all right when you're so many games into a season, as Kieran's saying, you've got that rhythm of your play. Early on, you just don't know how you respond, and going back to that, the Malmo game last year, you kind of was evidence of that. So, Midtjylland, just because we played them recently a few years ago, and with 7 goals we scored over the 2 legs, 4-2 and 3-1. So, I take a repeat of that and take our chances in the final one. 100%.
Yeah, Kieran, Stephen mentioned the Europa League run last year, and that's obviously fresh memory for us all and how well we did with that. How confident are you that can carry on into the new season? And also there's been some player changes and that side of things. I've seen Joe Aribo leave for Southampton this week. How confident are you that the form and the style of play that we had in those games throughout all of last year, apart from we'll take out the first 2 games of the group stage and just ignore them, but the rest of the run, how confident are you we can take that form into this season?
Yeah, I've got heaven and hell in my head, actually. I just think that since Gerrard was involved in the club and right up until now as well, we've been phenomenal in Europe. We really have been outstanding. I remember going to the games like during the 90s and the 90s growing up, and even under Advocat, Walter Smith, like with the players that we had, we really never kicked on in Europe. We were never ever consistent. But through this team the past 4 years, they've just been 3 or 4 years, they've just been outstanding in Europe. We've been going to tough away grounds and getting results and pulling it out of the bag when we least expect it. So we have become quite a cultured European team that can go toe to toe with the best. So you see some of the massive transfers that are going about now, and you're like, we played this guy, like the likes of Darwin Núñez and Luis Diaz and all that. We came up against these guys and we're getting results against the teams that they played for. And there's no reason we can't go on and do it after the scars from last year against Malmo. So there's no reason we can't. But the same side of my head, I'm thinking that the last time we got to the European final, we went up against Kaunas the next year and get knocked out. So battle scars as well. Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed it's the former and not the latter. Right, yeah. We've reached the sort of half-hour mark, so we'll start to round up podcast here. One final question for you both. Stephen, coming to you first. Who would you choose out of the 4 potential ties?
Just because it's recent in memory and we've done all right, Midtjylland for me.
Midtjylland for you. Kieran, what about yourself?
I was going to say Midtjylland, but I thought that would just be a bit straightforward. So I'll go Sturm Graz. A visit to the Arnold Schwarzenegger Arena wouldn't go amiss.
Is that what their stadium's called?
It's named after Arnold.
There you go. We better research for the podcast and everything. Don't say Keenan's not good to you. I'm going to go for the Belgian team, whose name I'm not going to try and say again. But just for someone a bit different, play someone a bit new. But no, that's been a great podcast, and thanks very much everyone for listening. Stephen, thanks very much for joining us. Well done, your first one.
Thanks very much for having us. Thank you.
Looking forward to many more. And Kieran, thanks again as always.
Always my pleasure, mate. It was good fun.
Perfect. Well, thanks very much everyone for listening. Please don't forget to subscribe to the TII YouTube channel. Remember and turn on those notifications so you get an email every time we upload a podcast. We've got some really exciting podcasts coming up on the rest of the week. So we've got our bulletin at 7 o'clock on Wednesday and Friday. Our very own Scott Patterson is going to be interviewing Kevin Thompson. So make sure you keep an eye out for that one. And we've got our main podcast as well every Sunday evening at 8 p.m. live on YouTube. Thanks very much for joining us, people. And until next time, goodbye.